Hmm. We are live. I'm not seeing anything though, but hang on a second here. Let me see if there's just a, yeah, there's just a long lag. Um, let's give it a few minutes, let some people come in. In the meantime, I want to give a couple of shout outs. The first is to Mr. Tim. Thank you very much. The second is to Mr. Michael. Thank you very much. And also to Mr. Bilal. Thank you. As always, thank you to all three of you and Choke D and all that good stuff. Good luck for you. I want to give it a few minutes and let some people come in. There's not very many people yet. I didn't get to put this up until a few minutes ago. Power went out here. I don't know if you can hear, but it's pouring rain right now here in Bangkok. As it does here, it rains hard. It doesn't usually rain very long though. But right now, the dollar is 33.38 to the baht. Air quality index is 52, which is moderate. It's currently 84 degrees. There's a 20% chance of rain, but it's raining already, so that's the way it goes. 77% humidity, no wind, zero wind. And the heat index, it's 95 degrees. Feels like 95 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning. Once again, I don't think that Mr. Longhorns is going to join us. I don't know if he's awake yet or he's still laying in bed. But, you know, now that he's been in Thailand, he's been laying around a lot. He's been laying around doing nothing until the afternoon. We are supposed to meet up later on, even if it's raining, and have a nice meal together. We've been doing that once a week or so. And what do I want to talk about today? Well, there is a slight glimmer of hope here in Thailand, at least when it comes to the statistics, the COVID statistics, which is that more people are being released than are being admitted into the hospital with infections. And it's like the fourth day in a row, so that's very good. Still quite a few people dying every day, at least for Thailand, it's a couple hundred people every day are dying. I don't know what their guidelines are for considering someone's death to be by COVID. I don't have any idea. But what I do know is that we're still locked down. Semi-lockdown, quasi-lockdown, and we will be until at least the end of the month. Before, I didn't think we'd be opening up next month, or the guidelines would be restricted. The restrictions will be lifted a little bit. They'll be loosened up. I'm starting to question that now because there's a lot of pressure right now to open up, at least partially, which will probably mean you can go into a restaurant and sit down and there'll be 25% capacity or something like that. Maybe booze will be sold again in restaurants. Hard to say. You never know. Illogical logic applies here. So, anyway, hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. That's the good news. There's a hell of a lot of bad news, and I don't want to focus on that too much. I mean, I don't even want to get into what's going on in Afghanistan and what I'm just totally embarrassed by the administration in the United States, but hopefully things will get better here by the end of the year. If they don't, there's going to be big trouble in big Thailand. Just a few days ago, Thailand's richest man, Danin Chirawanont, warned that the kingdom cannot afford to let so many firms die at the rate now being suffered, while calling for the government to speed up its response to what he described as a crisis akin to World War III, which may see the country left behind by its neighbors in Southeast Asia. Bilal, thank you very much. Choke D to you. Thanks as always. He said this would happen if economic recovery is delayed when the virus is eventually defeated. This virus, the only thing that's going to be done, it's going to be like the flu. It's my opinion, but I believe this wholeheartedly. It's going to be like the flu. People are going to get sick. It's going to happen, and then at some point, people are just going to go, oh, you don't have to go to the hospital for it unless it's really, really serious. At this point, they need to open. I just did the little video the other day where the guy's walking butt naked down the street, aside from a newspaper covering whatever he feels like covering up at any moment, drinking water out of a puddle. And then I've got numerous video clips of people sitting and waiting in long lines for food and all these kind of things. It's terrible. And what choice do you have? I feel even worse for people like in Australia who they're not even allowed to, they can't even fight back at all. They try, and then you got the police coming out, arresting them and beating them and spraying them with pepper spray and all kinds of stuff. The one thing here is that these protests have been going on. They've been ramping up a little bit. There were reports that 3 teenagers were shot with live ammunition. The police denied this, and they said that maybe it was somebody else that wanted to shoot them. I don't know who would want to shoot them. Maybe somebody would. I'm not saying they wouldn't, but the police denied it. And now there was a grenade attack on police in Dindang, which is where some of the protests have been. 7 officers were wounded, and 8 young protesters were arrested. It's just, I don't even know what to say. It's getting bad. And then you look at what's going on in Afghanistan and you go, well, we got it pretty good here. Nobody's coming door to door looking for you, ready to take your head off. So, I feel lucky that we're not in that position, because there's a lot of unlucky people there. And I'm not just talking about the Afghans. I'm talking about Americans, Brits, French. But anyway, the police revealed that in spite of efforts during the day to calm flaring tensions between officers and violent youth protesters in the Dindang area of the city, a grenade was thrown into the midst of riot control officers as they gathered, wounding 7 policemen. Details of the incident were given by police spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Kritsana Patanacharan. In response to the incident, police are understood to have seized 7 vehicles and made up to 8 arrests. Kritsana said police had been trying to use reasonable force while instructing the crowd to disperse. Now, the only thing I would say about that, listen, this is what people do when they're protests. This is what the cops do. They use tear gas, they use rubber bullets, they use pepper spray, and they try to break up the protest. I don't know what the protesters are going to accomplish, but I also don't know what they're doing that warrants rubber bullets. If they're marching on someone's house like the prime minister's, I understand. Other than that, though, when somebody's driving by, and this happened on a motorcycle, and a police officer tells you to stop, and then he decides he's going to shoot you because you don't stop. Who knows why the guy didn't stop? I'm not saying he shouldn't have stopped, but I'm saying you don't know what the whole story is, so why are you trying to shoot him? There was another girl who got shot in the back with a rubber bullet, and a young girl. How, I don't know how much of a threat some of these people are really providing to the police. What someone that I know said, and he's very up on the protests around the world, is he said that there are very few people at the top who are willing to be injured, to be thrown in jail, to be hurt, to die for their cause. Then there's the next group who they're willing to go for it, but they're very hesitant about putting themselves in a place of danger. And then you have the people who are like the looky-loos, who are on the outside. They know that it's dangerous to go any further than where they are, and they just sit back and watch. And so there's a lot of those. It's a pyramid, very few at the top. So I suspect in the coming months they're going to start rounding up more and more people who they believe are involved in this. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but it doesn't bode well for Thailand and its tourist industry. And, you know, they've got this 7+7 coming from Phuket, where 7 days in Phuket, and then you can leave and go to any of the areas that are determined safe, which I think is like Krabi, Railay, Phangan, Samui. I just don't know how much, and the thing is that Thai people cannot go into Phuket, but the foreigners can leave and then come back. So I don't really get it. I don't get their logic, and I think this is part of the problem. They don't seem to have a plan. They're just kind of winging it. But that's just my opinion. I think they're kind of winging it. And what's funny is that the other day, the Prime Minister said, we need to make a plan for 2022. We need to make a concerted effort for 2022 to handle this COVID situation. I'm like, how come you didn't do it last year? You know, the continued increase in defaulted business. Do you think some smaller banks could fail? I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest. I don't think it's going to happen. It could, but, you know, if one bank or two banks fail, you know, it's going to happen. I don't see any of the banks like Bangkok Bank or, you know, Siam Commercial or Kringsri or any of these kind of banks. I don't see them, Kasikorn. I don't see them going under. I don't see Thai military going under either. You know, these banks, I think they'll be fine. I think they're going to be fine. The only thing is that now there's only a 1 million baht limit to what the government protects the depositors against for losses. And so, you know, that is something to be concerned about. And also something to be concerned about is that the cash reserves in the banks are, I don't know how long it's been since they've been this low, but it's been many, many years. You know, and the thing is, Thailand has waited too long on everything. That the administration here, they waited too long. And what the big question is why are they continually ordering Sinovac and then ordering an inadequate number of Pfizer vaccines? Why are they operating this way? What is the reason behind it? And, you know, I'm only taking a wild guess here, but I'm going to say it's about money. And I'm not going to say any more than that, but read between the lines. It's about the money. You know, and the fact that with Pfizer and Moderna, perhaps these companies do not wish to do business with the Thai government the way the Thai government wants to do business. And what really concerns me is that Thailand is, what was the other place that's doing this as well? Thailand is trying to make its own vaccines. Good morning, Gennaro. They're trying to make their own vaccines, and they're supposed to be ready sometime around April. Now, the thing is that they're making their own vaccines because they figure they can do it. And I suspect it's going to save them money. But in the meantime, that's 8 months away by the time they're supposed to be ready to go. And so in 8 months, at 200 people a day, let's say 200 people a day are dying. Let's just say 150. That's 4,500 people a month times 8 months. So what's that? 28,000 people could be dead by the time they get their act together. And the other thing is that what good is this vaccine, their vaccine, or Sinovac for that matter, aside from locally, because it's probably not going to meet the requirements internationally so that countries will allow you to travel there. That's a big problem. And it just came out the other day. I can't remember who it was, but I think it was some official who, he had 4 shots. He had 2 Sinovac. Then he got a booster, which I think was Pfizer. And then because he couldn't travel, or he got AstraZeneca, I think. And then because he still wasn't able to travel because it didn't meet the requirements that were necessary, he got another shot and he got Pfizer. So he had 4 shots. So this is what I mean. Well, glad you could join us. Yeah, well, 28,000 people are still going to die anyways from anything. But this is an additional 28,000. I don't know. I don't know how I think about this, really. I mean, it's so hard to really come up. You have to either just kind of you have to guess, basically. That's the way I look at it. You're guessing. We're guessing what's going to happen. We're guessing how well these are going to protect people. And so that's the way I look at it. You're guessing. That's all you're doing. That's all that anybody's doing right now. Even the scientists, they may think they know, and maybe they know more than we do, but when it comes down to it, they're not positive about anything. They're about as positive about these vaccines doing everything they're supposed to do as Joe Biden is about anything, which I don't think he knows what the hell he's saying from one minute to the next. I think he's lost. He wishes. The banks will be foreclosing soon. They're not going to give them a free pass forever. It's not only that Thailand was given low priority. Thailand made it a low priority. They made it a low priority. They could have joined COVAX, but they didn't want to because they didn't want to spend the money. So hey, you know what? Here's the way that it works. If you're a leader, the buck stops at you. The buck stops at Biden and his crew of inept jackasses. And the buck stops at the prime minister. He may think he knows exactly what to do, but you know what? It's just kind of like almost every single move has not turned out very well. For the life of me, in the beginning, if you remember when they did this they were going to do this whole sandbox thing down in Phuket. It was 500,000 domestic tourists and 129,000 international tourists. Now, I think they had something like 15 or 18,000 people, and only half of those were tourists. So, that's, you say what you will about raising some money, it's still a failure. It's an abject failure. They didn't come anywhere near their goals. That's like saying, well, we got out of Afghanistan. I mean, we left 20,000 people there plus all the Afghans. But we were successful. We got out. That's not a success. The banks are open so that people can go in and do their business, which I'm sure that's something that's very important to some people. You can't always do everything by ATM. We have a deposit account. We have something at the government bank. And the only way that we can do it, I don't know, I think my wife's got it set up now to do it online, but she always does it in person. She goes and makes the deposit in person, gets the paperwork back in person. And she couldn't do it. She had to do it online, but it didn't used to be online. This was just made possible not long ago. So there are a lot of people that they don't use the internet, they don't use the ATM, they got to go in, and maybe they need to talk to the banker for whatever reason. But no, there is a point, because it's convenient to go into the mall. It's not always convenient to go to places. The problem with going to the banks when they are not located at the mall is that a lot of these banks are making the people sit outside in the hot sun. You might have 50 people sitting in chairs outside, and they're letting 5 people in, and you got elderly people sitting outside waiting to get into the bank. Whereas at least if they go into the mall, they still keep people outside of the bank, and they keep a limited number that can go in, but they're sitting in air conditioning. So, well, I mean, that's like, listen, it's, when you cross a border, you're how many feet apart from another piece of land. You just happen to be a short distance away from somewhere completely different. If you're born in Mexico versus being born in the United States, a complete different story for your life, Same thing with the parks, and I don't understand why they got the parks shut. I don't understand why when you're walking down the street you need to have a mask on even when there's nobody around, and the fine is quite high, or it can be. They probably won't do anything the first time, or if they see you, like, listen, I mean, I've been walking down the street and I'm dying from the heat because it's so hot, and I just pull it down when there's nobody around. Breathe without the mask on, and then I put the mask back up. But I don't see the point in it. There's nobody around. If this thing is just like anywhere in the air and you just you can get it just by walking down the street, that's one thing. But you can't. It's ridiculous. And despite all this, I do think, I was talking to my buddy who's been here a long time. He's been here almost 30 years. And we were discussing how, despite all these problems here, this is still a pretty good place to live. And if some of these restrictions get lifted, it'll be a good place to live again. There's a lot to do, a lot of things to see. The people are very nice, for the most part. And the big thing is that you don't have to worry so much about being shot or walking down the street and somebody comes out of nowhere and just knocks you out, hits you, violently mugs you, that kind of thing. Right now, that's not how this country is. And that's a big reason to be here, the safety aspect. And you can say what you will about foreigners going to Koh Tao or somewhere like that, but the bottom line is that it's still a lot safer than, say, America or many other countries. Come on, Gennaro. Dengue fever is your biggest concern? Yeah, man. Walking out in this hot sun with a mask on is no joke. It's no joke even when you don't have a mask on. You know, who knows? Who knows what they're gonna do? They haven't even. I don't believe they've even talked about this. Good morning, Johnny. How you going? I don't believe they've even talked at all about any mandates or anything like that. This is not America, and they're not so concerned about freedoms, to be honest. Uh, and there are numerous examples of that, which I'm not going to get into because I don't want any problem. I don't want to bring any trouble onto myself. But the bottom line is it's still a good place. Uh, Hopefully, they will wise up and they will at least relax the mandate that they have where when you're outside, you need to have a mask on. I see people sitting alone. Okay, I'll see you at 11. There are people sitting alone. I mean, I have to laugh because I'm sitting there in the back of a taxi and I look over time after time after time and there's people sitting alone in their car and they got 2 masks on. I just don't get it. I don't get it. That's my big phrase now. I don't get it. Jono, as far as I know, he's doing pretty well. He's been relatively quiet lately. I think he's been busy, trying to keep busy. That's what most of us are trying to do here. We're trying to. I've talked to numerous guys here, and all of us are slightly bored. We're feeling the effects of it, and I mean, I won't lie. In my family, we're all feeling it. We're all like, God, when is this going to end? Is it ever going to end? It's no fun. Well, I've had dengue. Both my kids have had dengue. My wife thinks she had dengue. We weren't sure about that. And we turned out just fine. It is something to concern yourself over, but I wouldn't say, well, I'm not going to go to Thailand because of dengue fever. Yeah, that's another thing is that there are police that have decided not to enforce some of the restrictions that are in place. What are you going to do when a group of people go and they're gathered around a certain area together waiting for food? And, they're standing right next to each other or a foot apart. What are you going to do as police? You're going to get a couple cops that are going to come down and they're going to say, we're going to throw you all in jail? Oh, there's a great solution. People can barely they can barely find food, and they're standing out in a street or in a parking lot. They're sitting somewhere. There's literally hundreds of people. I never thought I would see this in Thailand, and at the very least, I think there's a number of people, and the average Thai is willing to break bread with their neighbor or share a little rice or whatever it might be. And so far I haven't heard much in my own village, but I've heard about certain areas in Bangkok and certainly in Pattaya. So let's just hope it gets better. That's the only thing. I just keep telling myself, it's going to get better, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. And it's a drag. It really is a drag. It's just such a me seeing that guy the other day. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I guess if I was in, say, uh, I don't know, Burundi or the Central African Republic or the Congo or some of these other places in Africa, and I saw a guy bend down to the river and drink the water, I wouldn't be so surprised. But on a street in Bangkok, a big street, Lat Phrao is a, uh, a large artery for traffic. To see a guy bending over doing that and he's butt naked, I mean, listen, there are mentally ill people on the street. It happens. And I understand that. But you know what? It puts it in perspective for me. If you got food and you got a roof over your head, as bad as it might be, at least you're still here. And what I would say, and I said this before, I said we are existing in slow motion. And existing is the key word. We're just existing right now, at least here in Bangkok. I know there are some places in Thailand that they're fine. They're able to do things. They're able to go places, and I can get around the town. But it's just the hassle of going from one place to another and having to wear a mask, and you got to check into a place, or you go into a place and you got to get your temperature checked and do this and do that. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, I saw that over there in Sui Buikau, people were sitting outside and drinking. 10,000 baht a person. But I don't know, I understand that, like, listen, we're at the point now where people are tired. They're tired of living this way. They want their life back. They want to be able to go where they want and just walk around, or at least have the freedom to hang out with a buddy and have a couple of drinks. But they did say 5 people, not 18. I don't think it's right. I think what they should have done is, 10,000 baht definitely will make them think twice about doing it again. But I don't know if that was really, I don't know if it's necessary. These incidents are few and far between. This is not happening all the time. I mean, I have a video of me riding the bus from, I think it was, from Central Lat Phrao. I took the subway, and then I got on the bus, and I went home, and what I noticed is how many things were shut down, and how there are still people that are selling food, and there are people out. But if you're not selling food or selling pharmaceuticals or, your food, you don't operate a grocery store, or you can't work at home, if you don't have the type of job where you can work at home, you're shit out of luck. Government's not going to help you out. And this tycoon said that, what did he say? This guy, Chirawanon, he's the richest man in Thailand. What was he saying? How much did he say that it was necessary? I thought it was something like 60 billion baht was necessary to pull Thailand out of its funk, out of its economic despair. And he's saying that they should, the government should borrow this money if necessary. And here's the big thing that nobody's talking about. He also indicated that he fears that after this emergency is over and when the clouds have lifted, Thailand could end up behind its neighbors in Southeast Asia based on the current direction of events and economic data that is emerging. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. I just read something else about the Thai tourist industry where they were saying it'll be 10 or 15 years before Thailand is anywhere near what they were before. And I can't remember how many people they said they're going to have this year in tourists. I think it was something like 500,000. 500,000 tourists versus 40 million a couple of years ago. So they're losing out big time. Well, that's for sure, Carlos. But this is a big thing here. What you say, and it's basically a shut your mouth. There are some things that I would love to say publicly. I would love to be able to say some of the things that are floating around in my head, but I know I would get in trouble. And they don't all have to do with the monarchy or anything like that, but there are some things that I would like to say, and I can't say them. There are photos I've taken. If I put those photos up, there is a good chance that I will experience some kind of trouble. And I won't be putting them up because of that. I'll keep them, but I won't be putting them up. It's this is the way the country. You can talk about it not being my country or whatever. Fine, but the bottom line is this country operates its own way. The United States, if you want to call it, operates. I don't know that Biden and his administration are operating anything at this moment. Makes me sick to see all this woke bullshit. And oh, how the mighty have fallen. That's about all I can say about what's going on in America. It's disturbing. That's a good way of putting it. It's extremely disturbing. And what's even more disturbing is, okay, well, let's impeach Biden. Yeah, okay. So then what? You get her as our president? She's even more lame than he is. So, I said many years ago, I said, I'll have to do that, Henry. Many years ago, I said I didn't really like the direction that Thailand was heading. And I used to say, a long time ago, well, I'm talking about even before I had a YouTube page. Thailand was trying to be more like Singapore. Now I think it's trying to be more like a baby China. But I haven't liked the direction that it's trending in quite some time. But man, when it comes to the United States, I don't even want to go back to the United States. I'm embarrassed by what's happened. Really, I'm so embarrassed by what's happened. Where is our sense of honor with these people who helped? And this guy said, oh, well, we just had to do it. There's going to be people unhappy. Oh, you dumbass. You don't even know what you're saying. You probably got a chip in his brain just telling him exactly what he needs to say. So, what do you do when you go back to an America that you don't even recognize? I don't even recognize America anymore. I still recognize Thailand. You got one leader, he does things one way. You got another leader, he does things another way. I don't think very highly of the current leader here, and I damn sure don't think very highly at all of the leader in the United States. It's disturbing. That's the best word I can think of. It's disturbing. And if you think it doesn't weigh on in my head. It weighs heavy in my head. And there's a reason why. You know, Nicholas had thought about going into the military, the United States military. And we thought, well, maybe when they're both done, they can both go in the military. We just were thinking about it. I don't want them going in the military now. Not the American military, and damn sure not the Thai military either. I don't want them going over there. I don't want them going through the stuff like that. I don't know if the Foreign Legion is a very good option, Gennaro. I think it's a good option if you've got some troubles and you know. Yeah, I don't know if that's a very good option for them. You know, it's kind of like if you are there are very few people who get into like boxing or who have gotten into boxing who were lawyers and doctors. Most people do it because they have to. They have to work their way up, and they can do it with their bare hands. They can fight their way up the social ladder. They don't have to fight. You know, they have to fight their way. You know, they go to school. They're going to have to find jobs and do everything like that. But they don't have to. They're not in a position where they would have to do anything like that. They don't have to go into the military. There's no reason, you know, that like Nicholas wanted to go into the Marines at first. I'm like, why? Why do you want to go in the Marines? Because you think of it as this romantic, you have this romantic notion. Wow. I mean, I thought, like, my wife's doesn't expire for a couple of years. But yeah, I know about what the deal is with that, and it's a damn shame. And that's what I mean. It's like now we're at the point. Many people are at the point where like, hey, well, where is a good place to go? Where can I go? And we always have the South. We can go down to the South. We can go, you know, we got a little jungle place down there. We can we could hang out in the jungle, in the house in the jungle, make it a little nicer, you know, and that could be it. That'd be the place, you know. But other than that, you know, where's the good place right now? I got another buddy who's been thinking long and hard about where to go, and he's like, well, maybe I'll just go live in Cambodia. And then he's like, well, maybe I'll go live in Mexico. I got a buddy in Mexico. He lives there, and he says it's great. And he's like, but I don't really like it there. I don't know if I want to go there. Fuck Hillary Clinton. Fucking old bat. Well, we already talked about them in the Air Force. That's the right way to go, I think. But yeah, I don't see Clinton in the picture, and I certainly don't see Cammie in the picture. After this debacle, I can't see anyone wanting to vote for a Democrat. Why? You gonna get this shit? Why would you do that? And the thing is, Republicans, grow some balls. Do something. Step up. Stand up. Fucking just disgusting. Too busy watching my neighbor's 23-year-old daughter hanging out the laundry in a long t-shirt with no bra. Wow. Well, you can change that. What I think what needs to change is this whole woke, my feelings were hurt, that kind of thing. I think that mentality needs to change. Your feelings are irrelevant. And I just saw this on, what was it? I think it was Joe Rogan, where he had some girl on, and she was talking about why she received a lifetime ban from Twitter. And apparently what happened was she was talking about, she asked a question, and she really meant it sincerely, about what was the difference between a male and a trans male. And so that didn't get her banned, although they did say you need to remove this tweet, which for the life of me, if you're going to put the Taliban in its current form on Twitter, you shouldn't be worried about some chick who wants to know the difference. But what happened was she made a screenshot of it. They told her to take it down, and she put the screenshot up. And people are so upset by that question. It's like, if you know what you're really going to be upset about? When Chinese are running your neighborhood, where they're, like, you got the militaries everywhere, and you're not going to be able to walk around freely. That's going to really hurt your feelings. People need to get their heads out their asses. Seriously. This is first world softy problems. These kind of problems are for people who they're not used to struggling to eat or to have a roof over their head. Yeah, I'm a little frustrated with what's going on over there. And the thing is really, what can I do as one person? You have to group together to get anything done. And I just keep hoping that at some point someone will listen over there. And actually here as well. Because perhaps if they did a little sit down with some of these leaders and they were willing to capitulate just a little bit, they would make some headway. But it's not going to happen. They won't do that because it's a sign of weakness in their eyes. Well, are you gonna act on that, Steve? Stephen K, how you doing? What's happening? I was wondering where you were. I always just think you're busy, doing whatever you're doing. You got your own things going on. Don't get smart with me, Gennaro. We're going to, actually, if it, I do smile. Listen, I do get a little joy every day. I watch a certain show. I've just started watching The Godfather of Harlem, which I do like. And then, like once in a while, I'll get one of these drinks from Cafe Amazon, like a little strawberry cheesecake drink or vanilla cheesecake or whatever the hell it is, vanilla caramel, some little foo-foo drink. That's my one thing that provides joy for the day, aside from being around the family and all that kind of stuff. Been in the Wyoming woods for a month. Well, that's a better place than many. I wouldn't mind being in the middle of the Wyoming woods for a while. I mean, I guess we could go down to Suratani, but get out in the jungle. I always worry about the snakes, though. You get bit by some snake down there, that's it. You're done. Woke equals Taliban. Yeah, okay. Surely you jest. What I thought was very telling, and I've been meaning to get this video because I want to put it up, this little clip, where this woman, this female and she's apparently she's an Afghan journalist, and they allowed her to interview them. And she says, "So, will you, in the if the Taliban becomes a legitimized government, will you allow democracy and will you allow women to come in as politicians?" The guy started laughing at her. He laughed in her face. And this other guy was rapping him on the shoulder like his buddy going, "Ha! Oh my God, we're going to have women leaders." He's like, "Oh, like you're stupid." Yeah, well, I've seen cobra there. I haven't seen any pit vipers, which is a good thing because usually if you see them, it's too late. You're bit. Those are some nasty, those Malaysian pit vipers are nasty. She just raised her shirt to wipe the sweat from her forehead and everything was exposed. You got to get out there with a camera. It's not fair. Yeah, there are some pretty gnarly snakes here. The pit vipers are the ones I worry about, and the cobras. Cobra are not generally real aggressive, but if you happen to step on one or step a little too close to it and it's got a nest or something like that, man, you don't want to be around it. You don't want to be around it. And yeah, that kind of bugs me. I'd be like, all right, we have to clear all the ground. We're going to have to do something to stop them from being around if we were going to do that. We have to put up some concrete wall or something. Of course, they could always dig under the ground. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, cobras in general are nothing. They're nothing to play with. I respect snakes and, have a lot of, I'm not necessarily scared of them, but I do respect them quite a bit. I saw some 800-pound grizzlies up close and personal. A snake bites you, a bear eats you. Yeah. I went up to a place in Canada called Kitimat. And I was with my father and a couple other guys. And one of the guys had a friend who had a helicopter. And he said, "Hey, let's see if we can go do some fly fishing out in the woods." Okay. He managed to get the helicopter. We went out into the woods. And, we're out fishing. We're on a little sandbar. We got the helicopters on the sandbar. We're standing out there. And we start hearing something off in the distance. And it was like, crackling brush. Like something was mowing down something. And we're like, we sat there for a minute. And then we went, you know what? I think it's time to get out of here. And we got in the plane and we took off because we thought it was a grizzly and we were completely exposed. So we got out of there quick. Well, listen, that's nothing unusual. I mean, the Chinese have been in Cambodia, in Myanmar, in Laos, in many parts of Southeast Asia for a number of years. It reminds me of Cool Hand Luke. Remember that scene with the girl pushing up against, she's washing the car, and all the guys are looking at her, and she knows it. That was a great movie. Anyway, what time is it? 10 o'clock. Well, I got a little bit of time here. I don't know, maybe Longhorns is already gone now. He and I are meeting up today. I think he wants to have salmon for lunch. So we're going to cook up some salmon here. Maybe watch a movie or a fight or something. I don't know. Carry a .357 Magnum with hollow points when I am in the back country. Well, that'll do the job. I'll tell you what, that is a concern. I've been in Alaska a couple of times, and there was one time I was in this place. It was King Cove. Pretty sure that was the place. And they have a processing plant there where, they're processing all sorts of fish and crab and stuff. And they put the garbage cans way up on top of the hill. And so what will happen is you'll be walking along down in the valley, and if you look up, there's bear, it's got to be a couple hundred yards away. They're up there prowling around the garbage. And you have to be very careful. Like if they turn and see you, it's like, uh-oh, it's time to go. We got to get out of here quick. I always worried about that. But, at least there were some places to run to. If you're out in the woods and one of them goes after you, that's it. You don't have some protection. You're done. Rap God, you can't go to the Rap God. I think maybe you can. I don't know if you can order from the Rap God. You can order takeout, but that ain't happening. I'm done with the Rap God. Listen, I'm getting old. I have grown old on this channel. I'm not getting old. I am old. I feel it. I feel my walks now. I feel if I eat crappy food, I feel it. I don't have a bile duct, so I'm not supposed to be eating fatty foods. So if I eat the wrong food sometimes, it doesn't feel very good. Carlos. What is this DPO dog over there yet? What's DPO? Yeah, I'll be 59 in what? A little less than 2 months. Soy Dog. Oh, Soy Dog. No, Soy Dog is not here. He's been awfully quiet lately, but, he's not planning on coming here anytime soon, so I think he's trying to just not concern himself over Thailand. I think he's going back to Florida next year. I'm trying to deflect. I don't want to think about the BS in Afghanistan. Yeah, that's really... it is troubling. Actually, yeah, I've heard from Chucky. He was just in Greece, and on Monday or Tuesday, he said, "Oh, if you want, we can stream. I'll be in these places." He gave me a schedule, and I said, "Well, let me think about it." It means I would have to stream at night though because of the time difference, and so I had thought about doing a stream on Friday. But I streamed Friday morning, and I was just tired, and I just didn't feel like streaming at night. And he doesn't know about the quality of the internet, so I'm going to have to talk to him in another day or two. He's going to be in Italy and I think he said Spain. So, one of these places we'll hook up with him and stream something. I'm sure he'll be happy to show everybody where he is. Yeah, well, you don't want to be there now. You don't want to be in Afghanistan now looking for a condo. I don't think it's a good time. Maybe an answer is to go out into the wilderness. I don't know, but it's no fear. Honestly. It's not about fear. I think he just has a lot of faith that nothing's going to happen. That's what I think it is. He has fear, believe me. But I think he has faith that nothing will come, no harm will come to him. It's why he and I disagree about North Korea. He's wanted me to go to North Korea for a long time. and it hasn't been possible. And I thought about it a little bit, and now the more I think about it, I don't want to go there either. I wouldn't want to. I did think about going to Afghanistan many years ago. I thought, okay, yeah, well, Somalia is another place. How about Sudan? Well, that's another thing. Um, yeah, the thing about the wilderness is you know what to expect out there for the most part. You know there might be wild animals out there, and you need to protect yourself. And you know you know that there are the elements to protect yourself against. Um, so no, I don't want to. I'm not someone who wants to go to some of these places anymore. I don't know why. I just age, self preservation. Maybe wanting to see if I ever have any grandkids or anything like that. I don't know. Um, yeah, when you start having doubts like that, it's probably better you don't go. Just 3 years ago or so, I was talking to Longhorns about going to this place, Kakabaratsi in Myanmar. Um, very, I wouldn't call it dangerous because of the military or anything like that, but because of the elements, and because of the harshness of the terrain and everything like that. Um, it was, first of all, it was costly, but extremely costly to do it right, which that always factors into it. I thought about going down the Mekong River, and then I thought about just doing it on a smaller scale. But it's a clusterfuck now, the Mekong. Um, I've thought about the Chao Phraya, and I did go in the Chao Phraya on a little what the hell are those things called? The little longtail boats. Yeah. Yeah, Joe would take a holiday. So would Jen Psaki, and Harris would just disappear. She'd be. Who knows where she'd be? I'm not even going to say it because what I would say would be extremely rude. You get the picture. I don't have to say anything. Sometimes it's better to leave a little imagination to for people. But anyway, you know, I'm thinking about just going through some of my old videos and putting old footage of trips that maybe I've never put up before, put together with some parts that maybe I've done. Yeah. I know she is. Good riddance. Get rid of her. Get her out of here. The faster she leaves, the better. She's probably going to go, I'm not even... I was going to say, she's going to get some private dancers, her and AOC. Hey, if you're a conservative and you don't like Joe Biden, click that thumbs up button. If you don't like Joe Biden, click that thumbs up button. If you like him, click the thumbs down. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. I'd like to know. Click that thumbs up button if you realize, if you're a Democrat and you realize you fucked up and voted for Joe Biden. I mean, the guy can't even... I've been saying it for a long time. He can't even string together two sentences. I don't think that's true. That's all, folks. Oh, I believe he will be. I believe he will be. And I bet you that one day his son will run. Something people don't think about. I think at some point his son will run. You know, I've come to the conclusion that we live in a world that is just one big, massive clusterfuck. There's a lot of beauty and wonder and candy canes and lollipops and rainbows in the world, you know. But the truth is, there's some gnarly shit out there. And I think the older you get, the more you realize that, and the more you go, man, we don't need some of this stuff. These politicians. What is everybody forgot about what's his name in New York? And the dickhead on CNN? What the hell's in that? Cuomo's. Has everybody forgot about them? Nobody's talking about them now. Boy, they got lucky, man. They got lucky that this happened with Afghanistan. It took everybody's mind off of Andrew Cuomo and Quith Cuomo. Well, I was wondering, like, what happens if they impeach Biden? You're going to put Harris in as president? What the fuck? Who wants her as president? My God. Lord help us all. We got 3 more years of this bullshit. And it would be nice if one day my wife and I say, hey, listen, you know what? Let's go stay in America for a couple of months. One of the things that I've always wanted to do was to travel across the United States, which I've done when I was younger and when I was a little kid with my parents. But I'd like to bring a camera, and there's certain areas of the United States I'd like to photograph. Just take my sweet ass time. Take like 2 months, 3 months. And I don't know that I'll be able to do that now. I mean, I can, but do I really want to? Do I want to subject myself to all that bullshit? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know, but in Hong Kong, they're talking about how they may start making it mandatory to learn Mandarin and no Cantonese allowed. I don't need to go back there for a while. The only reason I'm going to go back is to see my family. That's it. I won't be streaming. I won't be doing, I may make a couple videos or something. But there's only a couple places that I want to be in the United States. And one is where my parents live. Another is in the Florida Keys. And it would be nice to be able to get away for a few months and to hang out somewhere where I feel very comfortable. And I've always liked the Keys, but I don't know. I've always liked it to go down there for a day or two, or a couple of days. But I don't know about being down there for months at a time. Well, yeah, he certainly is outspoken, and I do like that. There are certain people who are standing up and saying, what is going on with this doofus? I said it a long time ago, people were questioning Biden's mental state and his capacity. And it happens when people get old. I understand, But does he really need to be the president of our country with his mind like this? I do need to decompress. Oh, don't say that, Gennaro. Knock on wood. Knock on flesh, metal. The only way that we would go back to the United States would be in a few years, maybe. Unless there was a dire emergency here. By dire, I mean it's like dangerous to be here. And I don't see that happening. Good afternoon, good morning, buenos dias, sawadee ton chao, bienvenidos, all that good stuff. What a world we live in. And you know what's so funny is that in the United States, supposedly it's much different than what we're experiencing here in Bangkok and many other provinces in Thailand, and also Australia. You can't forget Australia. Keep an eye on Australia and what's going on over there. It ain't pretty. It's not pretty. And if anything, you know, I feel like writing to the tourist department of Australia. I don't know what it's called specifically. I can look it up or whatever. But one of the things is that I really, truly would like to write them and say, man, you know what? I understand that this is a difficult time, but you have truly turned me off from wanting to go to Australia. Your police, the way your police conduct themselves, you know, just makes me not want to go there. I don't want to deal with some asshole cop. You know, maybe I forgot to put my mask up to all the way up to my nose. It's only above my lip now. I got to put it up that quarter inch or I'm going to get in trouble. That's what it feels like. I don't want those kind of problems. I know it's a mess. I've been watching video. There's numerous people who watch the channel who I've talked to. There's a lot of unhappy people, and you know the problem is once you get a little bit older, it's a lot harder to go out and like really do anything physically in a protest or something like that. Carlos, take it easy. We will talk later. We only got we got about 15 minutes left. Then I got to take off and go meet with Mr. Longhorns. Hear this? I feel like I'm living in China right now. Or Vietnam. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, definitely many countries in Europe. This is the thing. Okay, so now they've taken away there's a large percentage of the world that is no longer habitable. Albania, yeah, that sounds. Although you know, I don't know. I've heard some good things about it. Where was that place that I think my buddy went and stayed for like 2 years in? Was it Armenia? I don't know if it was Armenia or I'm trying to remember. I lost track. This guy just all he did was go to school. He went to school for like 14 years. He was like 32 years old, and he'd been in college the whole time from once he graduated high school. He'd been in college. That's all he did was travel around. I've got to go do my thesis, and I've got to study in this country, and that's what he did. That was how it was like he's doing something, but Florida, Wyoming, Nebraska are great. I got a buddy who lives in Nebraska, and obviously Florida. Florida would be my go-to place. I can't handle some of these places because of the leaders. You know, I don't want to go to Canada and have to deal with the bullshit there. I don't want to go to Australia and have to deal with the bullshit there. I don't want to go to America and deal with the bullshit there. I barely tolerate being here. You know, if it wasn't for the Thai people, I wouldn't be here. Get rid of the Thai government and everything's great here. People are cool. Aside from the Thai government, you know. Louisiana sucks. Well, I think we're, you know, again, we get back to the world is in a cluster. It's a clusterfuck right now. It's full of chaos. And I wish I could put a real positive spin on it, but I try to be real all the time. I try to be as real as possible, and I don't look at the world and see it as a real rosy place with oh my God, the future is going to be fantastic. Everybody in the world, there will be no world hunger. There will, I just don't see it happening. I see a lot of shitholes in the world, or places that are being flushed down the toilet, and I see very few places that are wonderful places long term. At least right now. Now, this can all change. Oh, that would piss me off. Juan's Flying Burrito Restaurant would not let me in because I did not have a COVID vaccine certificate to show them. That sucks, man. Yeah, I need to get a burrito. Can I get a burrito? I want to just sit down over there in the booth. Sir, do you have your COVID vaccination certificate? No, I haven't got vaccinated yet. We're sorry, but no burritos for you. No more burritos at Juan's Burrito. You have no vaccination? No burritos. It's Soup Nazi, the burrito Nazis. This is how it's going to be. This is exactly how it's going to be. Steven, take care. Good to hear from you. Good to know you're well. And I'm sure we'll talk soon. Yeah, I don't know what he's got in mind for lunch other than salmon. And, my old lady can always whip up some Thai omelet and, different kinds of rice and all kinds of stuff. The other day she made something. Man, it's called mu hong, and it's basically you get pork, and you put some sugar in it, some salt in it, and you get some dark soy sauce. You mix it all up, and then you cook the pork over. You slow cook the pork for a couple of hours, and the pork just gets really. It just falls apart. Big chunks of pork, like pork belly. And you slice it up into chunks, Man, that was so good. Once you start eating it, you can't stop. I wanted to save some for Longhorns, but it didn't last long enough. Yeah, I started watching Seinfeld again just because I wanted something to do. Hey, Dowlo. How you doing? I've watched damn near every show possible, and sometimes I turn on a show and I go, I can't watch this shit. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's a feeling, I turn something on, I can't watch this. Or I turn something on and I'm like, all right, this looks good. Let me watch. Just like I was saying, I've like binge watched like The Good Doctor. I binge watched, what was that other one? Now I'm watching the Godfather of Harlem. I've been watching all the UFC fights. I mean, it's like anything to stay a little bit busy. All right, let me see something else here. We talked about this guy. Yeah, this whole thing about Thailand developing their own vaccine, it's worrying, because what good is it if it's only a local vaccine and other countries don't recognize it? Why 21st century nation building may be beyond America's capability? Well, because it's not easy no matter where you are. All right, here's one right here. Let me see this here. This is funny. Or sad. Thailand's vaccine shambles continue. Thailand is studying the possibility of injecting coronavirus vaccines under the skin to try and stretch its limited supply. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? As the country races to inoculate the public faster amid a worsening epidemic. Our previous experience shows that intradermal injections use 25% of a muscular injection, but triggers the same level of immunity. You know what? Why don't you just stick with how it's being done right now and get on it and get these people something other than Sinovac, Sinopharm, or AstraZeneca. Get the people what they want. That's a huge start. Just get them the Moderna, get them the Pfizer, and that alone could alleviate a lot of the problems, at least with the protesters. You would think that would go a long way to making them at least mellow out a little bit. Because that is a main, that and getting Prayut out because they view him as inept. These things are what are important, along with the other things they want, but those things can be ironed out as long as there's no violence going on. As long as there's violence going on, as long as there's rubber bullets and tear gas and protesters throwing Molotovs and firecrackers and hand grenades now and this kind of thing, there's the government is not going to work with them at all. No legitimate government will do that. So they're going to need to figure something out. And I think that getting these vaccinations, the mRNA vaccines, goes a long way in squelching some of these problems. But they just don't do it. They want to get their own. They want to get more of the freaking Sinovac. It's just crazy. I don't understand how out of touch are the leaders, not only in Thailand, but around the world. I mean, you know that Sleepy Joe is, he's not even awake. So, things ain't going to get better there. He's not going to improve all of a sudden. Maybe he should take some, what's that stuff that Rogan pushes on it? Brain, whatever that brain thing is. Maybe he should take some of that. Maybe somebody should give him some. Here's what this says. If the research confirms intradermal injections are effective, regardless of brand, Thailand could vaccinate 4 to 5 times the number of people with the same amount of the vaccine. So in other words, it comes down to they don't want to get the vaccines or they can't get the vaccines. Yeah, I don't get this, but it's another thing I don't get. All right? One more I don't get. I don't get it. All right, well, guess what? It's almost 10:30, which means we are at the end of a stream. We've already yapped about, basically, this was a show about nothing. And we've been yapping about it. And hopefully things will get better. That's all I can say. If I were to hold a crystal ball up, if I had one, I'm still, I was asked this the other day, I'm still going to say next year. You might see some changes in the next few months, but next year, middle of the year to end of the year, then there might be some significant changes and life will be somewhat back to normal. Aside from, well, if you want to come in, you're going to have insurance for this, you're going to have this paper and that paper, and it's going to cost more, and, you know. Anyway. Yeah, okay. There's a lot to consider about going back to the United States, Gennaro. Like, first of all, I don't want to. Second of all, because I've been out of the United States for so long, I don't want to have to reacclimate myself anywhere. I've been in Thailand for so long, I don't want to reacclimate myself to being an American. I'll go back there as a tourist. I'll go back there for a month. Okay. Maybe 2 or 3 months at the most. But I always know I'm coming back. You know? I just don't see it right now. But it's nice to know that I still have it there if I really want to go back. Hopefully, things will be a little different by the time I do go back. Anyway, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know how many ladies are here, but thank you anyway. And what else? I don't know. I don't know what else. I'll see you when I see you. I'll talk to you guys later. If you got any comments, leave them down below. Please leave a thumbs up. Hey, if you believe Joe Biden screwed up, click that thumbs up. If you believe we could do better, please leave a thumbs up. Freddie Roach, is that what you mean? Freddie Roach, Steve? Yeah, Pacquiao is fighting. Oh, Pacquiao should be fighting in a short period of time. Yeah, he should be up in the next hour or so. Manny Pacquiao fighting this guy Ugas. I know who he is. I've talked to him many times, actually. Several times. I'll say several times. 4 or 5 times. He's always been cool. Funny guy. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta roll. Longhorns awaits. So thank you very much. Check down in the description. Pick up a shirt. There's several shirts. Pick up one of my books. Visit my website. Yada, yada, yada. Thank you for joining me, and over and out. Choke D, Jerkan Mai, and I'll see you when I see you. So later, Gators. Gators.